This is Lloyd Cruz, City Council President, City of Southfield. This is our regular meeting of the council being held today, July 20th, 2020 at 6 p.m. via WebEx today. So we're taking a new format to handle our business, still digital, but yet we're trying to get a little closer to so where folks might be able to see and hear us better than before. So as we begin the meeting, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
No, she's here. Come back to her. Brightwell?
Here.
Hoskins?
Here.
Vanderbaum?
Present.
Morris?
Here.
Taylor?
Here.
Cruz?
Present.
And Banks?
Present.
Okay, Mr. President, we do have a quorum.
Okay. As always, as our regular meetings are conducted, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I will recite it for us today. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get into today's meeting, I think it's appropriate for us to acknowledge two icons in civil rights history that passed away oddly on the same day, on last Friday. The Reverend C.T. Vivian, as well as Representative John Lewis, who were both stalwarts of the civil rights movement in the 60s. And we have two resolutions that we'd like to, joint resolutions that Council Pro Tem Morris and myself would like to present to the group, and hope that we will affirm those on this evening. And we will start with the resolution for Reverend C.T. Vivian. And Councilwoman Morris, are you ready to go with that right now?
Yes, sir. Yes, I am.
Okay, go right ahead. I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. And just as a preface, as we were suggesting language earlier for the resolution tonight, I had to ask myself if I even know how to peacefully protest had it not been for these two giant leaders, Reverend C.T. Vivian and Congressman John Lewis. I mean, they're like the originators of peaceful protest, and so they're true heroes in the fight for civil rights and social justice and equality. And so I'll read the joint resolution for C.T. Vivian. Whereas we acknowledge the passing of longtime author, minister, and civil rights leader, Cordy Tyndale Vivian, also known as C.T. Vivian, who died on Friday, July 17, 2020, at the age of 95. And whereas C.T. Vivian staged his first successful sit-in demonstration in an effort to integrate Barton's cafeteria at Carver Community Center in Peoria, Illinois in 1947. And whereas during his studies at American Baptist College, he, alongside fellow civil rights activist Diane Nash, Bernard Lafayette, and John Lewis, organized a successful, systematic, nonviolent sit-in campaign to desegregate local lunch counters in Nashville, Tennessee. And whereas C.T. Vivian participated in the Freedom Rides and worked alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as the National Director of Affiliates for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, also known as SCLC, eventually becoming one of King's most trusted advisors and longtime lieutenants. And whereas he founded and incorporated the C.T. Vivian Leadership Institute Incorporated to create a model leadership culture in Atlanta, Georgia, conceiving, developing, and implementing the Yes We Care campaign, advising the community to donate over $500,000 directly to Morris Brown University, thus preventing its closure. And whereas he has provided civil rights counsel to 5 different United States presidential administrations, President Johnson, President Carter, President Reagan, President Clinton, and President Obama. And whereas President Obama in 2013 honored Vivian with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the nation's highest civilian honor. And whereas CT Vivian set a standard in grassroots organizational leadership and was one of the country's preeminent civil rights figures, spiritual leaders, and greatest drum majors for social justice and equality. And now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the mayor and council of the city of Southfield, county of Oakland, state of Michigan, recognize the outstanding contributions of CT Vivian to the civil rights movement. Be it further resolved that we, the mayor and council of the city of Southfield, county of Oakland, state of Michigan, do hereby pledge that the enduring legacy of CT Vivian be acknowledged and commemorated throughout the city of Southfield, dated this 20th day of July, 2020.
Quite interesting that it was actually 6 years ago today that CT Vivian was here in Southfield and served as the keynote speaker for the NAACP dinner that was held here at I forget the place that it was at. We were at, but he was here. He gave the keynote address, and just a wonderful person, nice man to meet. And like again, the resolution stated, just a giant in the civil rights movement. And so I think it's appropriate for us to recognize him, and of course the fact that he actually came to our city and was a part of us for just the period of time that he was. So I'd like to entertain a vote to approve this resolution.
Mr. President, this is Councilwoman Lenny Taylor. I make a motion that we approve this resolution as presented.
Support. All right, it's been moved by Ms. Taylor and supported by Mr. Brightwell that we approve the joint resolution on behalf of Reverend CT as presented by Council President Pro Tem Morris. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Hoskins,
Oh, okay, there we go.
All right. Again.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
and Brightwell. And I think someone, if you're not talking, please mute your phone. We're getting some bad feedback from someone. Thank you. Resolution has been adopted.
All right, thank you. Again, we also have a joint resolution for the late Representative John Lewis of Georgia, and I will read that resolution for us. Whereas we acknowledge the passing of longtime Congressman and civil rights leader John Lewis, who died on Friday, July 17th, 2020 at the age of 80. And whereas Representative Lewis in the United States House of Representatives for Georgia's 5th Congressional District from 1987 until his death. And whereas his keen interest in civil rights activism was evident when, as a young man, he led efforts to desegregate lunch counters in the early 1960s, Nashville, Tennessee, while becoming a dedicated adherent to the discipline and philosophy of nonviolence, which he practiced for the rest of his life. And whereas Representative Lewis was one of the 13 original Freedom Riders, a legendary civil rights initiative designated to help our courts desegregate bus travel in the South, was unconstitutional, along with later being named one of the Big Six leaders responsible for organizing the March on Washington, the occasion of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s celebrated I Have a Dream speech. And whereas under his leadership, of the SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, Lewis opened Freedom Schools, launched in Mississippi's Freedom Summer, organized numerous voter registration efforts, mentored young civil rights activists in the ways of peaceful, nonviolent demonstration as future freedom riders, and whereas he grew in national stature during the Selma to Montgomery marches, when on March 17, 1965, a day that will be known as Bloody Sunday, he led 600 marchers across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama, where they were met by Alabama state troopers who brutally beat he and the peaceful demonstrators, thus serving as the tipping point for the passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And whereas Representative Lewis was a towering figure for social justice and civil rights icon who fought for equality and human rights and challenged racial injustice, struggles that remain relevant today. And whereas Representative Lewis built an outstanding record of compassion and trust among his peers and constituents, leading an extraordinary life built on morality, clarity, dedication to protecting human rights and securing civil liberties for African Americans and other disenfranchised groups, that continues to inspire modern day civil and human rights activists. So now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the mayor and council of the city of Southfield, Oakland County, state of Michigan, recognize the impact of the late Representative John Lewis and express deep gratitude for his pioneering years of service. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the mayor and council, city of Southfield, county of Oakland, state of Michigan, support the growing national sentiment regarding renaming the Edmund Pettus Bridge the John Lewis Bridge. And now, therefore, be it resolved, we, the mayor and council of the city of Southfield, county of Oakland, state of Michigan, admonish the House of Representatives to, I'm sorry, somebody's making noise on here, and this is, I think this is, I want this to be heard. So again, now therefore it be resolved that we, the mayor and the council of the city of Southfield, county of Oakland, state of Michigan, admonish the House of Representatives to reintroduce House Bill 4 and name it the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and be passed by the House and the Senate in short order. Be it further resolved that we, the mayor, council of the city of Southfield, county of Oakland, state of Michigan, do hereby pledge that the enduring legacy of Representative John Lewis be made known and celebrated throughout our municipality, dated this 20th day of July, 2020. And I again will entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. President, this is Councilman Mandelbaum.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the resolution which you've just read.
This is Councilman Hoskins. I support.
Okay, been moved by Mr. Mandelbaum, supported by Mr. Hoskins, that we approve the joint resolution as it relates to the late Representative John Lewis and his efforts for civil rights and liberty for all. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yeah.
Morris,
Yes.
Taylor, Cruz,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Thank you, and thank you all. I will just allow more for any other council members if they have anything they would like to add or say as it relates to these individuals?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, I want to thank you and the pro tem for being proactive and putting forward two very well written and thought out resolutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Brightwell. And I appreciate all of your support on this as well. Your vote speaks volumes, and I hope that the resolution carries some weight with someone and makes some of these things happen, and that we continue our efforts toward civil rights and liberties for all people. We'll move next to our presentations. We have one presentation of the Invoice Cloud for payment software.
Okay, Mr. President, honored fellow elected officials, I wanted to present, we have a new software system that we're using now for online tax payments for our taxpayers in the city of Southfield. Just to give a little background, from 2014 until 2020, the city of Southfield utilized the services of official payments as a third-party vendor so that people can pay with credit cards online. BSNA, which is our software that we use for the tax system that produces our tax bills, they notified us that their relationship payments terminating, and they had two companies that they offered that they are working with for merchant services processing. And so we interviewed both companies, and we found that the company called Invoice Cloud had the superior product in terms of more advanced technology and better services, better features for our residents. And we were able to negotiate with them that we get the lowest rate in the state of Michigan at 2.5% would be the fee for credit cards. And also they offer electronic checks at $1.95. And that's our minimum charge that we would charge for people if they want to make an online payment. Payments can be made with debit cards and electronic check. And Invoice Cloud has many features to help people with a reminder. And I'm going to, I don't want to take away the thunder, but we have the representative from Invoice Cloud, Rich, please, here that will present for you. And he has a PowerPoint presentation that you'll be able to see on your screen. So hopefully the viewing audience will be able to utilize this new technology and this new software for everyone's benefit. And any questions, I'll be happy to answer afterwards. I'll turn over to Rich now.
Thank you, Irv. Can you hear me all, please?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. So as Irv mentioned, my name is Rich Pleasy. I'm with a company called Invoice Cloud. And we've been working with Irv and Allison on the setup of our system, which is a lot different than the old system that we have replaced there at the city of Southfield. And so what I wanted to do was just run through a few screens, a little PowerPoint with you to talk about our technology and some of the email reminders or the text reminders that can go to a mobile device, and some of our new features that we've rolled out to increase the online payments for your taxes. So if you don't mind, if you can move to the next slide, please. So as Irv mentioned, we are a partner with BSNA. And BSNA is your property tax software that you have there at the city of Southfield. And they pretty much are in almost every city in the state of Michigan. And so we are big into partnerships here at Invoice Cloud. And because of our partnership with BSNA, we have a very tight system integration, which means that when payments are made in Invoice Cloud, they are going to be sent to BSNA within a few seconds after that payment's been made. So if the customer service rep at City Hall wants to look up a payment that was just made, they can very easily do that. We also have what is called a real-time data exchange. So if somebody goes to Invoice Cloud to make a payment, we are going to pull from that BSNA data the most current balance that system has. So we're always staying in sync with the BSNA database. Very important for what we're going to talk about here in a minute regarding email reminders. If there's an issue, some sort of a issue or a problem, we have a dedicated Slack channel with BSNA, which means we can talk to them directly and we can resolve any issues very quickly. And today we have actually over 100 BSNA accounts live or in the implementation phase. And I'll pause after every slide, and if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them, or I can actually answer your questions at the end. But if you don't mind, if you can move to the next slide. So I talked a little bit about that integration with BSNA. So if you look over on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see that in that highlighted circle there, that there was a payment that was made at 9:04:21. We sent that payment to BSNA. BSNA gave us a handshake back that they received that payment at 9:04:26. So within 5 seconds, we sent that payment to them. They sent back an acknowledgement that they received it. And if you look on the far right, there's a red circle for an okay. That means that that entire process, that roundabout process, all happened and everything was okay. If for some reason the internet breaks and we're not able to send those payments over to BSNA, we keep pinging that BSNA server until we can make that payment all the way through that roundabout process. And if you look over on the left-hand side there, we send over payments, and folks can now, for their taxes, actually enroll in autopay, which means on the due date of the bill, we'll be able to go in and withdraw that money from a checking savings account or charge it to a credit card based on how they have their autopay set up. So that's a newer service, I believe, that I don't think you had before. Seem to like it and set it and forget it and not have to worry about going back before the due date to make that payment. Next slide, please. So a little bit about our technology. Our platform is a true SaaS platform, and SaaS means software as a service. We have just over 2,000 accounts, around 2,100 accounts that are running the Invoice Cloud platform. And what SaaS means is that all of those accounts that we have, they're all running the same instance of our software. So we don't have version 4 and then version 5.1 and version 6.2, which is great for the city of Southfield for a few reasons. One of those reasons is that when you call in with an issue or a problem, we already know what version or what instance of our software you're running, which is fantastic. The other cool thing is that whenever a new feature gets rolled out, when we release a new feature, all 2,100 of our accounts receive that new feature all at the exact same time. And the third thing that's great is that it's customizable. So chances are, if you guys wanted to change something in our platform, we probably just have to slide a button over from red to green or green to red, meaning we don't have to go out there and custom program a new feature for you. Chances are it's already built into our platform. Questions on SaaS technology? Okay, next slide, please. So some of the newest features that we just released, I put 5 of them out here. One is they can enroll, your taxpayers can enroll in autopay, again, taking that money out of a checking savings account or charging it to a credit card on the due date at the same time as their payment. Pay might be out there for future payments. Apple Pay and Google Pay. We just released these. I'm not sure if you guys use these on your phones today, but they're growing in popularity. And for us, it's another way to offer a convenient way to make a payment. One-click pay from an email reminder. We're going to talk about email reminders here in just a second. And if they have a stored payment method, meaning a stored checking savings account or a stored credit card, they can click on Pay Now and then process payment and make that payment in a simple 1-2 click process. So our goal is always to speed up the way that people can make payments online. There's also a new feature we have to where Allison and her team and Irv and his team can send out an on-demand text message to maybe your taxpayer who might call up and say, hey, how much do I owe on my property taxes? Well, let me look that up. You owe $1,000. Would you like for me to send you a text message that has a link built right into that text message to make a payment? Oh, fantastic. And then you can also even take a picture of your credit card with your phone's camera. And then the last one there is electronic calendar reminders. So everybody today, they're all glued to their mobile device, and everybody is pretty much run by their electronic calendar on their phone with their Apple Calendar, their Google Calendar, maybe their Outlook Calendar. So they can go out and schedule their own reminders for when they want to make a payment on that property tax bill. So those are just a few of the new features that we released really in about the past 6 months. And we're releasing new features at least once a quarter. And so we're always looking for new and inventive ways to make payments online. Next slide, please. But there you go. So PCI, payment card industry. That just means that the payment cards, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, they all get together and they say, hey, Invoice Cloud, if you're going to be storing credit cards on your server, you need to make sure that you pass a level 1 security. So level 1 security is the highest security that you can get with PCI. And so we're very proud that we have level 1 security with our payment card industry. And we get tested every year by a company down at the bottom there called TrustWave. And they come in and they try to break into our systems. They actually try to do it once a quarter, but we get official notification once a year, which means that your card data is safe with Invoice Cloud. And some people like to know, where's all of this data stored? And we store all of our data with Microsoft Azure. I'm sure you've probably all heard of Microsoft before, a world leader in secure data hosting. So not only would they have to get through Microsoft security walls, they would also have to get through Invoice Cloud security walls to even look at data. And then we don't even show full credit card numbers. All we show are the last 4 digits of that credit card number. Everything else is encrypted. Next slide, please. So I mentioned earlier about these emails. So if you look over on the right-hand side of this screen, you'll see at the very top it says a new invoice is now available right before that, right below that name of Stephen Smith. And if you move to the second email, it says second notice. And then at the bottom it says final notice. Once we start capturing email addresses by people who are paying online, so today they're paying online with your summer tax, when those customers are going to get their winter tax bill and we have an email address on there, we're going to send them that first email that says, hey, you've got a new invoice from the city of Southfield. If they don't make that payment, maybe 10 days before the due date, we're going to send them a second email reminder. And if they still don't pay, we can send them a third email reminder. And those email reminders are sent out whenever Irv and Allison decided how to send those out. But most folks usually send them out 10 days and then they send the third one out 3 days before the due date. Now, if you look over on the right-hand side on that top email, at the very bottom, it says balance due. So we're pulling that balance due out of BS&A before we send out these emails. And if somebody has paid their bill already, they would not receive that second or that third email. If you look kind of at the top, right below the city of Southfield, you see a green box and then you see a gray box. So if they have a stored payment method with us, again, either a credit card or a checking savings account, they can click on that green link that says one-click pay using that payment method ending in 111. It comes to a screen to where they would verify their information, click on process payment, and they've made that payment with either that credit card or that checking savings account. Now, if they do not have a stored payment method out there, then they would click on that gray link that says view invoice or pay now. And as they're making a payment, they can also view a copy of their property tax bill, which is something that the city did not offer with the previous online payment vendor before. And maybe the coolest thing is that built into these email reminders, you can put links out there. So maybe you want to put a link out there, click here to view the city's upcoming agenda at the next board meeting. Click here to view what's going on at City Hall on Labor Day. So you can embed links in these emails that are being sent out to your residents. Questions on those emails? Okay, next slide, please. So I mentioned earlier about pay by text. So if they give us their cell phone number, which they can do as they're making a payment for the next time they get a bill, embedded in that text message is a link. And if they click on that link, just like if they click on that link in that email on the previous screen, it takes them right into Invoice Cloud to make a payment. They don't need to return back to the city of Southfield. They don't need to go look up their account in BSNA and make a payment, which is like an 8 to 10 step process. They can make their payment by clicking on that link, walking through a couple of steps, taking a picture of their credit card with their phone if they want, or using a checking savings account, and click on process payment. Now there is a convenience fee involved, like Irv mentioned, at 2.5%. Then they would respond with a PAY, and that third text at the bottom is the confirmation text message. So this is relatively new in the industry. Not a lot of folks pay bills with a text message. Maybe some of you do, but it is a quickly growing way to make a payment because people want what? They want quick and easy. And everybody wants something now to their phone, to their mobile device. Next slide, please. So just real quickly on this one, if you look at the screenshot on the left, the very last process, so the very last step in the payment process is to click on that green button that says process payment. In this case, it says process payment, $43.25. Now, if you move over to the left of that green button, it says send me pay by text messages for future invoices. And I would like to sign up for autopay. So these customers that get to this screen, they have not keyed in a username or a password. So we make it very easy to stay in communication with your residents. So even though we have an online payment system, we like to make it, we like to call it more of a customer engagement platform. And one of the screens before said that we can send out up to 27 different emails based upon if an event happens or if an event did not happen. So we are engaged with your residents, which is great because many platforms, many online payment systems like the one you had before, was you just put it out there and you hope people are going to come back to make an electronic payment. Because processing electronic payment is the lowest cost to the city by all means. It's a lot less than somebody walking in. It's a lot less than somebody mailing in a paper check. It's just a lot less to accept an electronic payment. So the Invoice Cloud platform was designed to stay engaged with your taxpayers and to bring them back with those email and text reminders the next time they get a bill. And even the screenshot on the right, even after they've made a payment, at the very, very bottom there, we're asking them again, hey, would you like to sign up for auto? Again, just trying to make that process as simple as easy as we can for them and reducing the cost for you, trying to keep people out of City Hall. Thank you. As I mentioned earlier, as they are making a payment, they can see a copy of their tax bill. In this case, this is just a sample of a bill on the right-hand side, but there's multiple areas in the Invoice Cloud payment process to where they can view an invoice. Again, I would think that Irv and Allison probably get lots of phone calls. Hey, can you resend me a copy of my tax bill? There might be a process involved where now they can just say, hey, that tax bill, you can look at that through Invoice Cloud by looking up your account and just clicking on the first make a payment, and it shows up right there at the very first screen. So probably a way to reduce phone calls coming in and making sure that people get the word that tax bills can also be shown online. Next screen, please. So we also have a biller portal dashboard, and this is for Irv and Allison and their team of people. So when they log into this biller portal, they can see the last 10 days of transactions. They can see if people are making payments with credit card or e-check. a checking savings account. They can see if people are using pay by text, if they're using our one-time pay. So we collect all this data based upon all the different payment routes that we have, and we provide that information back to the city. So maybe you might want to promote a certain way because maybe it's underutilized. So maybe there's a way we can help you do that. And so we're always excited to be able to report back to you in graphical form and also in report form, all of the ways people are making payments. And if you look over on the left-hand side, there's that little screenshot down at the bottom. In that biller portal, this is how we communicate with our billers. So if we have messages to send out, once somebody logs onto the biller portal, they can see those messages. Maybe there was maintenance. This past weekend, we had a maintenance and our servers were down for a few hours, but it was scheduled maintenance. And that is a message that we would send to you through the biller portal. Next screen. So this might be a little past due. And one of the things that we did right before we went live with Allison and Irv was that we have a marketing department. We're headquartered out of Braintree, Massachusetts, right outside of Boston. I'm actually in Illinois, north of Chicago, just south of the Wisconsin state line. And so we have a marketing team, which would have worked with Allison and Irv on ways to promote these new services. So we like to get as many folks to pay online as possible. Again, to save you money, and also that's pretty much how we make our money, by getting more transactions electronic. Next screen, please. So right now today, this is live. The Invoice Cloud platform is live. So if you go to the city of Southfield, oh, here we go. Well, Alice has a message out there. Thank you, Allison. So they would just click on a link, and if you go to the next screen, I think that shows, or down below there, I'm sorry, down below there, go back one screen if you don't mind. Thank you. At the bottom there, it says pay your taxes to the right. So if they click on that link to pay your taxes today, right now, please go to the next screen. They would go to BSNA online to look up their account. And then that process then would transfer them to Invoice Cloud to make that payment. So this is live today since July 1st. And I've talked to Allison, and so far, though I talked to her last week, and things seem to be going well. And she had a message out there, which I didn't get to read. It was kind of quick. But at the same time, if anybody has anything else to say, and I believe that's the end of the PowerPoint. Is there another slide out there? No.
All right.
Any questions?
All right. Irv, is there any type of ask you have here for us today, or is this to let us know?
This was for information purposes, to notify the council so that you could see exactly new features that we were able to offer, and also for the viewing audience. We wanted to present this after tax bills have gone out, so this way people will be able to utilize the service as part of the marketing effort that we're doing.
Okay. I'll open this one up to just, does anybody have some questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah. Well,
Councilman Brightwell, I'm going to they present this to the finance committee, we all received. And I know I asked this question in the meeting, but how does this improve our cash flow?
I can't hear the question.
we can't really hear you, Dan.
How does this improve our cash flow? I thought we went through this in the finance committee, and I'm sure I asked the question there, but I have forgotten the answer. How does this improve our cash flow?
The goal is, first of all, to avoid delinquent taxes. We want to make sure people don't fall into situations where they forget to pay their tax bills. So with the reminders that they could set up, and with the auto pay, things like that, and being able to pay with a credit card. So if they don't have the cash on hand at that moment, this way they're not going to get the penalties that they would have in terms of late fees, and won't get turned over to the county as well. So we avoid all those problems. And of course, the faster people can pay and the easier it is for them, then the faster we get our funds. So cash flow comes in faster.
Okay.
Councilwoman Banks?
Nancy, I think we're waiting to hear from you.
Oh,
You went out.
I'm sorry.
Go
Can you
ahead.
hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Mr. Please, first of all, thank you. I think this was an excellent presentation. It looks like it's extremely simple and easy to follow. One question. Did you say that there is a 2.5% cost to use this service to pay taxes and also the water bills?
We actually have a differentiation. This is only regarding taxes. The Invoice Cloud software handles the tax payments. The Eden system has an online system for water bill payments. That water bill payments, we were able to negotiate with Visa and MasterCard to be able to get a very low fee. And so it's actually built into the water bill payments, and we don't charge a fee for people to pay with a credit card for those payments. Typically, a water bill payment is going to be lower, a tax bill is going to be much higher. And so, unfortunately, we can't eat the cost of the processing for a tax bill, because typically we're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars that people typically have to pay. But 2.5 is actually the lowest rate in the state of Michigan right now that Invoice Cloud offers, and even the competitor as well doesn't have a price that's lower than 2.5 as well. So that's and that's not the only way to pay. If people want to utilize a electronic check, it's $1.95. It's $1.95 minimum to be able to pay online. So it doesn't have to be 2.5%.
So can you walk us through if I want to make an online check? If I want to pay my taxes with an online check versus using this new software program, how would I do that?
The
Software program could also use online checks as well. Rich, you want to handle this one?
Sure, or yeah, really the same process. So once the taxpayer finds their account through BSNA Online, which is the screen that we have up right now, they would find their name by keying in their parcel number, their name, their address, one of those options. Once it goes through the Invoice Cloud process, we ask the question, would you like to pay with a credit card or would you like to pay with an e-check? So a credit card would be the 2.5%, an e-check would be $1.95.
Okay, so the $1.95 is a new new to our system?
No, I believe with official payments, the previous vendor, the cost was $2.95, right, Irv? Is that correct?
We actually were able to lower the fee down.
Yeah, we lowered the fee from before, so it's not a new fee, it's a lowered fee.
Okay, thank you. I was not aware that it was such a low fee. Thank you.
Sure.
Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Any council members have any questions?
This is Councilman Mandelbaum.
Yes, sir.
Because it utilizes the BSNA software, will it be able to do permits or code enforcement, violation charges and things like that as well?
Correct. We have special assessments, building permits, miscellaneous receivables, and there's one other, maybe business license. Maybe Allison, you can hop in on that, or Irv. But there are other invoice types that we also process.
So code enforcement and any type of bills, typically like the alarm bills, things like that, anything in the miscellaneous receivable system. Building permits are actually going to be going live. They're in the final stages of testing with BSNA. It's a new service that the building department will be offering, and that's going to start in approximately a week and a half or so. So they're doing testing next week still, and then should go live right after that. So this is going to be widespread. The only thing that this doesn't do is the water bills are actually done through the Eden system, but that's also online.
Perfect. Okay, thank you very much.
Sure, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mandelbaum. Any other council members before we move on?
Council President Cruz, this is Council. We did see this presentation in Council Finance, and we did recommend it to come before Council, and we do support support this new invoicing system. We think it'll be a benefit to the residents. It's very easy to use and may help improve the quickness by which we receive our tax payments. Thank you. That's my comments.
Great, thank you.
And I think also echoing what Ms. Morris has definitely emphasized in the past, we want to avoid foreclosures and we want to avoid people falling behind with penalties and late fees on their taxes. So this product will hopefully be able to help to get notice out to people. It's expensive to send out physical mail notifications to people. If we have their email addresses, it'll definitely be a lot more cost effective.
Great. We appreciate you and your willingness to try to be more innovative in your area and your team. And, I feel like I said everyone else, I think system looks really good. And so we'll maybe come back, look for a maybe some report back maybe 6 months to see how things are going. If that's all right with you.
Thank my deputy, Allison Bettis, for all the work that she did in implementation of this software. She worked around the clock as well to make sure that we were able to be ready day one, July 1st, when tax bills went out. Everything was live and ready to go, no bugs, and that was definitely very smooth. So thank you to her.
Okay. Well, thanks, sir. Thank you. I think we'll move on. So I think we're all in favor of this initiative going forward. So we appreciate the update.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right. The meeting, which is appointments, and we have 2 reappointments to the Planning Commission, Mr. Stephen Huntington and Mr. Donald Culpepper, 2 of our long-standing good citizens and servants of the city. Mr. Mayor, would you like to make that presentation? Appreciate the update. I'm not here. Is the mayor on?
Yeah, he's here. It's just someone needs to turn their cable, their TV down. Because we're hearing the delay. So someone needs to turn the cable feed down.
Okay. I'm not seeing Mayor Cyber on our list of participants, but maybe I'm not seeing everybody. Let me see.
I'm here.
Oh, you there? Okay. Sorry.
So I'll start again. Good evening, Council. This evening, I'm asking your approval for a reappointment of 2 outstanding Planning Commission members whose terms have recently expired, Steve Huntington and Donald Culpepper. Both of these gentlemen have had terms as chair of the Planning Commission. They've done an excellent job, and I am asking your approval to reappoint them. Thank you. Start again. Good evening, Council. This evening, I'm asking your approval.
Just need someone to turn their cable down, please.
Standing Planning Commission members.
Mr. Chair,
Recently expired.
this is Councilman Mandelbaum.
Pepper,
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the reappointments for the Planning Commission of Steve Huntington and Donald Culpepper.
Support.
Again, if someone could turn down the cable that they're watching, please. Down, please. Mandelbaum?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Taylor? Taylor? Cruz?
Yes.
Banks?
Yes.
Brightwell?
Yes.
Haskins?
Yes.
And resolution adopted for the planning commissioner.
Available on the line or not?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Well, we just want to congratulate them once again for their and let them know that we appreciate their continued service on the planning commission and made some good selections, Mr. Mayor. Well, thank you for that. Okay, well, we'll move to our meeting minutes. We have two meeting minutes that need to be adopted. The regular meeting minutes of June 8th and the special budget meeting minutes of June 15th.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes of June 8, 2020, and also the special budget minutes of June 15, 2020.
Support.
All right, been moved by Mr. Brightwell, supported by Mr. Mandelbaum, that we approve the regular minutes of June 8th and the special budget meeting minutes of June 15th, both 2020. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Morris,
Yes.
Taylor, Cruz,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes.
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
and Taylor.
It seems like something's going on with our audio.
Lenny, are you there?
I am. I'm saying yes.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Thank you.
Okay.
Resolution adopted for the minutes.
Very good, thank you. We have consent agenda. Entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Chair, this is Councilman Mandelbaum. I'd like to make a motion that we approve consent agenda items A through G.
Is there a second?
Councilwoman Banks, I second the motion.
Okay, been moved by Mr. Mandelbaum, supported by Ms. Banks, that we approve the consent agenda items A through G as presented in our agenda today. Madam Clerk, again, will you please call the roll?
Taylor,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes.
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Consent agenda items approved A through G. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Public hearings this evening and 3 site plans. So I'm going to turn the meeting over to our city planner, Mr. Crowe. Go right ahead, sir.
Evening, everyone. This is Planner Crode. We also have Planner Spence on the line, who's assisting with contacting the applicants. Our first public hearing is PSLU 20-0004. Petitioners Refresh and Go LLC. Property is located at 20050 West 12 Mile Road. We can go to the next slide, please. The request is to convert existing gas station vehicle service bays to a convenience store with carry-out restaurant. Next slide. Existing conditions, it was formerly a Shell gas station being converted to BP. Next slide. Those 3 bays that are shown are going to be converted into a C-store. Current zoning and future land use are consistent. Next slide. This is the site plan with landscaping improvements. Next slide. This is the new floor plan. So the 3 existing service bays have been removed with an expanded C-store. The majority of the floor plan on the left or west side of the building will be the C-store. And then there's a small carry-out. This is typical hot foods that you would find at a 7-Eleven. That area is to the lower right of the floor plan. Next slide. These are some of the improvements to the exterior of the facility. Next slide. Now, this was a request of the dentist's office that is located on the west of the property to prevent people from parking in his parking lot and crossing over and using the C-store or the fast food. He's proposing a 4-foot split rail fence. Our recommendation is a solid fence for the rear portion of the property. Approximately 60 feet is the width of the parking lot in the back. And as it transitions towards the front or 12 mile, it could transition to a split rail for site visibility and clear vision zone. So this is what the applicant is proposing, but we recommend at least the rear 60 feet be a solid fence. Next slide. And then finally, this is the site plan with the elevations. There is a site plan discussion later on the agenda. We suggest after the public hearing that you take 2 separate actions, one on the special use review and then on the site plan. Mr. Spence had sent me a note that he was trying to get a hold of Tarek, the applicant. I don't know if Mr. Spence has been able to do that. If he is, I'll turn that over to him to speak. If not, we can go right to the public hearing. Mr. Spence, were you successful?
You.
Are you there, Jeff?
Nate Resnick is here.
We're not at the public hearing yet, Mr. Resnick.
No problem.
Yeah, I could hear Jeff talking down the way, but I'm not hearing him through the speaker. Mr. Chair, maybe we could go to the public hearing first, and I'll run down the hall and see what's going on.
Mr. Chairman, this is Planner Spence again. I just got off the phone with the petitioner. He is calling into the WebEx number right now, so if we can just give him a minute or so. Thank you.
Okay. Can you all hear me now? Yes, that's fine.
He may be on now.
Yes, this is Tariq Gayar. Sorry, I had a hard time with that event code number.
No problem.
Tariq, this is the opportunity if you want to just tell the council what you're planning on doing at the facility.
Simply, we are converting the 3-bay garage into a C-store with a food preparation area, enhancing the facade of the building, and as well the landscaping as the plan submitted.
And Tarek, did you hear my comments regarding the fence that we're recommending a solid fence, at least on the rear part of the property adjacent to the dentist parking lot, and then it can transition to a split rail fence towards the front? Will you agree to that as a condition of approval?
Could you please repeat that comment?
We had recommended a solid fence between your properties. I'm asking as a compromise from what you proposed as a split rail, that the solid fence be on the rear of the property, which is about 60 feet adjacent to the dentist parking lot, and then it can transition to a split rail as you come forward towards 12 Mile. Would you agree to that condition?
I rather not, Terry. We were kind of pushed to accept that split railing and I just accepted to get going with the project, even though that the neighbors are not sharing the cost of this with me. The solid fence is against any of our marketing plan and appearance. We accepted the split fence with that new modern style with the fiberglass fence that is acceptable to the eye and the landscaping nowadays. It's not going to look bad, and we're going to even put it on our own expense. And we're going to convince Habib, the owner, with it as well. The back of the property, you're talking about the same line between us and the dentist office, or between us and the party store?
The dentist office, just where it's adjacent to the parking lot, which is about 60 feet. So what I'm asking for a compromise, and it's up to the council to finalize, is that the rear 60 feet be a solid fence, and then the rest of the fencing can be the split rail as proposed.
How long is the whole distance?
Well, I can tell you that it's 60 feet because it's a double row of parking behind the dentist office. And then the difference is whatever linear feet, you have a total of 174. So it would be 60 feet of solid fence and approximately 110 feet of split rail.
I rather to be consistent with the fence style, and that would look nicer. So if you don't mind, I can just keep it that split fence.
We're gonna
A to Z.
Okay. We're gonna have the public hearing, then the council can weigh in on this condition, since you don't want to compromise at this point.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, turn it back over to you for the public hearing comments.
Okay. The public hearing is now open. If there are any residents that wish to call in to speak to this particular matter, please call in or dial in, and you will have 3 minutes to comment. You will need to give your name and address for the record as stated. And Madam Clerk, you can let us know whenever we're ready to get started.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, I was wondering the hours of operation. My name's Fred Bunker, 24201 Garner. Hours of operation. Hello?
Mr. Bunker, they can't respond to you until after the public hearing is closed, sir.
Why did you tell me to go ahead?
Because you're speaking during public comment, during the public hearing.
You didn't ask the guy a question, you just asked him about a fence. 28 hours. Well, you told me to turn down so I can't hear when it's over. I'm playing at the computer.
Can I answer that, or? And
you have to wait until after the public hearing is over.
We have one more public hearing. We have a couple other people. Just give me a second.
Sure, take your time.
We got a couple people, it'll be just 1 second, everyone.
Zero, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037-0155. My telephone number is 248-346-0439. I am not at liberty to see which public hearing this is, so I want to know, is this the one from 12 and Evergreen or the one at the Pine Donut location? Mile and Evergreen. I just wanted to ask the council. We talked about the fact that we wanted to get Fortune 500 development and redevelopment in the city of Southfield. We talked about drawing businesses to the city that would be able to provide a valuable service to the residents. We know that for any company, it's all about location, location, location. When medical marijuana first started, the city of Detroit was saturated with location, only to discover that they made a mistake in allowing too many of the medical marijuana facilities to come to the city of Detroit. If you drive along 8 Mile, right there, just south off of 8 Mile, you don't even have to wonder where they are. You can smell it. Now, we are known to be the all-American city, the city of diversity, even the city of freedom. Are we about to become the city of peace under the auspices of medical marijuana? Is this what we really want? And how many of these are we going to allow? You know, we had a position in the city of Southfield, and we bumped this person up 2 different positions to become the director of economic and business development. If this is the only thing that we can attract to the city of Southfield, even before we rehab and redevelop prime piece of property, Northland Mall, we're in trouble. We don't have a plan. I'm tired of seeing all of these medical marijuana facilities come before the city of Southfield. And if this is something that you think you're going to be proud of as current council members, and while you thirst to go to the next level politically, think about the residents here, and think about the residents when you'll be gone, and they have to deal with all of these facilities.
Mr. President, we'll wait to see if we have any other people from public comment, okay?
All right, thank you.
1 second.
And keep in mind, callers, we're just dealing with this particular issue. We're not dealing with medical marijuana, or anything else of that nature on this particular project.
Mr. President, we're all set. We don't have any more for this public hearing. Thank you, sir.
All right, the public hearing is now closed. I will turn to my council members, starting off first with Ms. Banks.
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Banks. Mr. Brightwell?
I have nothing else.
Thank you. Mr. Hopkins?
I have nothing to add either. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mandelbaum?
Thank you. My only concern is this fence issue. I understand, there's an additional cost of putting in a different fence, but I also understand the dentist's view that a split rail fence may not necessarily keep people. I've also seen it where there's been a brick wall between properties and it doesn't keep people out. I'm not sure that a different fence will really make that much of a difference. I guess my question is, planner, you stated at our student session that there is enough parking for this food mart that there shouldn't be a problem with the parking next door. Is that correct?
That's correct. They meet the requirements. But again,
do they need it, or do they have any extra parking?
I think it calculates to one extra parking space.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say that the dentist and his attorney have been in contact with us since our first study meeting. I think it's a reasonable request. I've offered a compromise. My original recommendation was a solid fence along the entire property. This is a special land use, and council can request reasonable conditions, and I think it's very reasonable to just request a solid fence adjacent to the parking lot. So that's my recommendation. We can work out the details with the applicant if the council's so inclined. But I have a hard time believing that this is going to be a big expense going from a split rail to a solid fence that's 4 feet high for 60 linear feet.
Now, so when you say a solid fence, are you talking a chain link fence?
No, just a plastic obscuring fence, a vinyl fence that just there's no slats. It's just a solid obscuring fence. You can't see through it. And I'm only requesting and making a recommendation that the solid fence be installed adjacent to the rear parking lot. And then as it transitions forward, because there is a drive lane from the dentist office, and it does parallel the exit and entrance of the gas station, right, that's where it makes sense to have a split rail, so you can have clear vision zone.
Okay, so in general, I'm very okay with this plan, but I would prefer that we do this compromise with split rail as well as a solid fence. That's my opinion.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I think I was muted. Sorry, Ms. Morris.
Yeah, thank you. I think I want to agree with Councilman Mandelbaum. If the dentist office, if they have been at the table from the very beginning and made this request, it sounds like a reasonable request. Are they concerned that people from the convenience store may block the traffic from their facility, Terry, or are they just?
They're more concerned that someone, if they see or perceive that the gas station's full, might park in the dentist parking lot and walk across to the fast food or the convenience store and then come back across the property line of the dentist and use their area for parking. And currently there's just a low guardrail right now. Okay. So they're more concerned about patrons using his parking lot and then crossing over, stepping over, climbing over a low fence.
Okay, I'm in agreement with Councilman Mandelbaum. I think this is a reasonable request, and I would support the fence.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can Taylor? I think she's muted as well.
Can you hear me?
Okay, yes.
I don't know what's going on with my connection. Sorry about that. I'm in total agreement with Councilman Mandelbaum and Councilwoman Morris. I'm getting an echo. I'm really sorry. I really don't have a lot of other questions. I do understand what the dentist is asking. So, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Taylor. I would also agree with the fence as the planner has proposed it. I think that we should go with that particular route. I can understand the dentist's office concern in that regard, and doesn't seem like it would be that huge of a burden to make that happen. The only other question that I did have, and Mr. Crowe, we kind of touched on it earlier when I talked with you before, had to do with, well, maybe two things. One, in terms of the parking, does the parking count deal with the pumps? Meaning, is that considered parking because they have, let's say if they have 4 pumps, that's 4 more parking spots, or no?
Well, the way the ordinance is written is you're required to have 1 space per pump. So they have 10 pumps and they have 10 spaces. So those spaces aren't counted towards the C-store. So they meet the requirement for gas pumps based on the fact that there's cars parked there. With regard to the C-store, they have just under 1,000 square feet of sales area. It's actually 996 square feet. So we round it up to 1,000, and it's 4 spaces per 1,000 gross area of the sales area. So that's 4 spaces required. And then we have them calculate the carryout restaurant, which is 258 square feet. There's a 1 space per 100 square feet gross leasable area. That requires 3 spaces. So if you add the 10 pumps plus 1 employee, that's 11 spaces are required for that. And then 4 spaces for the convenience store and 3 spaces for the carryout restaurant. That requires them to have 18 parking spaces. When you add up everything that they have, including the credit for the bike rack, they have 19 spaces. So they meet the requirements for parking. And the other issues that were raised previously is there is an easement on the rear of the property, and the property owner will have to maintain that easement for Mr. Atchew's access. And the third issue that Mr. Atchew had raised previously was the bottle return. State law requires that if you sell bottles that have a deposit, you have to take them back. The applicant has indicated he's aware of that and will comply. If you look at the floor plan, there is a storage area that's approximately 112 square feet that will accommodate the bottle return. The only other thing that needs to be answered, Tarek, is your hours of operation.
We open from 6 o'clock.
Tarek, hold on, man. Before you go, I just want to ask again with the parking. So you said there's 3 designated spots for the carryout. That's it.
Well, it's based on the square footage of the carryout area. So there's 258 square feet of the carryout, and there's 1 space for every 100 square feet of takeout. So they meet that requirement.
Okay, I just want to get an understanding of making sure. It sounds like a small amount, but I didn't know exactly how I'm looking at it. I can't quite tell how much space the carryout was doing. And you feel 100 square feet, 110 square feet for the bottle returning and everything is appropriate?
Well, I'm going to let the proprietor answer that, but we looked at the state law, and it says that they are mandated to take bottle return. There's no minimum square footage that's required. And if he empties his storage room often, I don't see that as a problem. I don't see that as a realistic problem. I think Mr. Atchew's concern was the previous proprietor refused to take bottles back. That's what he purports, and people were coming to his store to make the bottle return. And Tark, you had stated at the study session that you have plenty of space for bottle returns, and that you know that you have an obligation to take those bottles. If through the chair, if you want him to respond to that.
Yes, absolutely. I just wanted to get that out there. Go ahead, Tarek.
For the bottle return issue, I believe it is acceptable in the gas station. As the state law says, we only are required to receive the bottles that we are selling. For example, we're not selling beer. So we are not going to accept beer cans, for example, or any product that is not sold. So we're not required to sell it. So it's not like a supermarket that sells everything and accepting everything. Even the big supermarket, if they're not selling a certain item, it's not going to be in their barcode system. So to answer the concern, yes, we are accommodating with the bigger space stores, some bigger storage room that we will accommodate to accept more numbers of bottle returns as to the customers that they're buying the same products. And for the hour of operation, we are opening from 6 to 11, and I don't see that extending more than 12 even in the future. But for right now, we're opening at 6 o'clock in the morning and closing at 11 p.m.
And you'll only accept what you sell.
That's my understanding, interpreting the law. We're not required to accept beer cans, for example, because we're not selling beer in the city of Southfield.
Okay.
So if I could, through the chair, if they sell Coke products, they have to accept Coke products.
Correct.
But they don't. It's not exactly the ones that they sell. It's just, to his point, he doesn't sell alcohol, so he wouldn't have to accept alcohol bottle returns or can deposit.
Yeah, I get it. I understand. Okay.
And basically, that's what probably going to the party store next door, the beer bottles and what have you. That's, we don't sell it.
Understood. Okay. Council, is there anything else, any other questions, or Mr. Mayor, or anybody else on the line?
Mr. President, this is the city clerk. We had a disconnection of Mr. Bunker during the public hearing. I do understand that the public hearing is closed, but I would ask if he can just have his the rest of his comments on the record. He was disconnected and he had about a minute or so left to speak. So I would ask if you could consider allowing him to finish his statements that he had at this point.
Yes, that's no problem.
Okay, 1 second.
Answers have been given.
They're listening.
Red Bunker 24201 Garner. That's a heck of a stretch of highway to add more fast in and out traffic. I don't know if anybody in the engineering department has reviewed the level of auto accidents and the way the left turn is set up there. It's already pretty densely used during the lunch hour. I know it takes 2 or 3 lights sometimes to get through. Is there any concern about a liquor license, beer and wine, being applied for in the future? And are they going to be selling these CBD products that make it kind of a hangout where people I know are legally supposed to loiter, but in this more and more casual COVID episodic, people without masks on every corner, and the unknown ability of the police department to enforce the governor's order, I'm concerned that it's going to create more loitering.
Okay. In response to that, Mr. Crowe.
Well, we're going to remind the council that we do not allow alcohol sales at gas stations. We have a prohibition against that. It's with regard, I don't have any concerns about traffic with 12 Mile and Evergreen. I believe it's adequately designed to handle any difference in the traffic that would be insignificant for this particular facility. I have to defer the CBD sales to Tarek, but I know they're regulated by the state on the percent of cannabis in the products that can be sold via retail. Tarek, do you want to respond to that?
Mr. President, we don't have anyone else, so we're all set for it.
Okay.
I don't.
Tarek, are you still on the line?
So as the state regulates, as a C-store, we're allowed to sell the over-the-shelf things. It's not like requiring a license like the medical marijuana stores or something. So that is by the FDA approved as a convenience, like energy pills or something, or like energy drink. So that is the way that the consumers are taking it, and the C-stores are taking it. I don't see any exaggerations than what I just said.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough. Thank you.
So if I could, through the chair, we do have a recommended resolution in your council packet dated July 20th, 2020. The only revision that I'm going to suggest is the item regarding the obscuring fence, and that we limit that to adjacent to the parking lot, whatever that works out to be, split rail, moving southward from there. And if you would leave it up to the planning department to finalize those specifications. So we would need a motion for approval on the special land use, and then take separate action on the site plan if you so desire.
Okay. I'll turn it back over to council. Is there a motion for the special land use for PSLU 20-004, Refresh and Go LLC?
Mr. Chair, this is Councilwoman Morris. I'd like to make a motion regarding 20-0004.
Support.
Morris. Sorry, somebody's getting a lot of feedback.
This is Councilwoman Taylor.
Yep, I got you, Ms. Taylor. Been moved by Ms. Morris, supported by Ms. Taylor, that we approve the special land use PSLU 20-004. The special use request of Refresh and Go LLC. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Banks? Yes. Brightwell?
Yes.
Haskins?
Yes.
Vanderbaum?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Cruz?
Yes.
And through the chair, would you entertain a motion on PSP 20-0002? Excuse me. 003.
Yep.
Site plan review request of Refresh and Go LLC.
Yes, I will.
Mr. Chair, this is Brightwell. I will make a motion that we approve the site for request review. Yes, 20-0003.
Support.
Councilwoman Morris.
It's been moved by Mr. Brunwell, supported by Mr. Mandelbaum, that we approve site plan PSP 20-003, the site plan review request of Refresh and Go LLC. Madam Clerk, again, will you please call the roll?
Brightwell,
Yes.
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Banks.
Yes.
Site plan for PSP 20-003 adopted.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Council. All right, Mr. Crowe.
Yep, thank you. Our next and final public hearing is PSLU 20-0007, which is a special use request of Loom Cannabis on behalf of the owner, NDS Real Estate, LLC, to convert an existing donut shop into a medical marijuana provisioning center in accordance with Southfield Ordinance and Michigan Medical Marijuana Facility Licensing Act on property located at 26760 Losser Road. Next slide, please. Existing conditions, and it's consistent with the future land use and the zoning. Next slide. Next slide, please. This is the site plan, if you note, the northernmost ingress and egress off of Losser Road has been removed and landscaping has been added. They have the elevations of their proposed renovation of the existing building. And there's a diverter on the southern driveway, which only allows right-hand turn out northbound on Losser Road. Next slide. These are some perspectives of the new landscaping and layout, including the carport. Next slide. This is the new circulation plan. Next slide. And the landscaping. Next slide. Comments and questions. So they did provide a slide that had the photos of their other stores. It must not have made it into this presentation. But other than that, if John Albo is available representing
to participate in time of public comment, raise your hand.
Yes, John is here, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission
I have to
has.
download.
John, do you just, again, for the viewing audience, can you just give a brief overview of what you're planning on doing there and how the operations will work? Hours of operation. Absolutely. And then it'll go to a public hearing, and then the council will come back and ask questions.
Absolutely. Yep, that's fine. So just to give the audience a background about our company, we are currently the largest operating cannabis company in the state of Michigan right now, with over 10 locations throughout. We have one currently in Oakland County, which is in Walled Lake, Michigan, and 9 throughout the upper and lower peninsulas. We've identified this location on Losser Road as one of our, next projects, and would like to move forward on this hopefully here very soon. We typically run an operation with around 10 to 12 employees. We have processes in place that kind of make it efficient as far as the atmosphere that we're in with respect to COVID. That's one of the reasons you see the carport to kind of fast track curbside sales, which is currently allowed under the MRA's regulations. The business hours would obviously be in strict adherence to the City of Southfield ordinances. We also have a security plan in place that was sent over to Mrs. Buckberry, I believe her name was, and we followed all specific security requirements set forth by the city of Southfield. And we will also be contracting with a third-party company to man the door, if you will. Anything other than that is, I'd be happy to take any questions to address any other concerns.
Okay. Well, I'd like to open up the public hearing for anyone that likes to call in to speak to this particular matter. Again, this is a public hearing for PSLU 20-007, special use request for Loom Cannabis Company. So you have 3 minutes to speak, and please give your name and address for the record as you begin your comments. And I'll wait for our Madam Clerk to let us know when we're ready.
Give me 1 second.
You said it was better?
Yep, you're live.
Okay. Pamela Gerald, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan 40407-0155. My telephone number is 248-346-0439. I just want to say again to the city, do we have anything else that we can attract to the city of Southfield other than all of these medical marijuana facilities? Whenever there's crime, criminals look for a couple of things when they are trying to break into a place. One of the key things that they look for is getaway or highway accessibility. This Sunrise location is right on the corner of the entrance to the 696 West Service Drive location, which is also near our 14th Congressional District Congresswoman's office, which is also north or south of Stevenson School, the synagogue, which is next door to Stevenson School, and it's right around the corner from the children's learning facility that's on 11 miles. We decided that we were going to use the industrial district, Bridge Street, to put all of these facilities there and kind of group them into one medical research development area. And now we're going and moving into the neighborhood. I just can't believe that we are that hard up for all of these facilities in the city of Southfield. And shame on our economic, business, and developmental department if they can't bring anything else into the city of Southfield. How many more of these are we going to allow? 20? 30? 40? 50? Or just an infinite amount? It's really sad. And I'm just at a loss for words, so I'm going to yield the because all of this beeping is really a distraction. And I'm hoping that as we go forward, having these style of meetings, that we could be better in terms of the alert system when the time is up. So that's all I have, and I thank you for your time, City Council.
All right, thank you.
Mr. President, we have another caller. Go ahead, Mr. Bunker.
Yeah. Well, I'm Fred Bunker, 24201 Garner, and we have a pretty viable activity of the sale of substances in the parking lot across the street from me. I'm wondering what as Ms. Gerald mentioned, the bums rush, these medical marijuana. I'm trying to think back in public, the master plan the city council approved, and Mr. Code mentioned it's within the realm of the future use. What is the future use of Washer going to be with this gateway entrance? This is actually being such a big deal about. If we're going to allow, and will the taxes increase on that practice as a result of new owners or new activity? Is there another way we can find something more upbeat for the city than like we heard, right? The expressway. These roads are unique to get away in a room. Like telegraph. 8 Mile Road and the border to get to where they all have to say police intervention. You can't make this a less safe, but it looks like we're going to. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We'll see if we have another caller. 1 second, sir. Mr. President, we're all set for public comment for this public hearing. Thank you, sir.
All right. So, Mr. Grote.
Yeah, it might be good just to remind everyone, I believe, and the mayor might be able to correct me, but I believe it was in the high 60% of registered voters who voted on this medical marijuana ballot proposal that supported it. And I think that the council came up with a very measured approach to where, when, how these facilities would be located. This is the third provisioning center in our entire city. Our zoning indicated that potentially there would be 4 to 6 maximum. The council can put limits on these facilities anytime that they deem reasonable, but this location does meet all the requirements, all the buffering requirements, and the underlying zoning. That being said, we're recommending approval of the special land use subject to the recommended resolution in your packet. And if you so desire to move forward on the special use, I would ask you to consider moving on the site plan as well. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Thank you, Mr. Crowe. Do any of the council members have any questions before we go to a vote on the proposal or a motion to approve?
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Okay. I will.
I know we dealt with this preliminarily a few weeks ago. Didn't we have an issue and we were going to try to get some parking from the 800 law firm?
Having a little trouble hearing you, Mr. Brightwell.
Yeah, I think I can repeat the question. It was regarding the pursuit of some additional parking at 1-800 Law Firm. Okay. John, can you give us an update on your negotiations?
Yeah, so I think we had discussed this at the study meeting, and we did speak with Ari Kresh, who seemed open to leasing a space. However, as we talked about, it's a significant financial burden on our company, especially considering that we're paying already a very hefty lease with the current landlord of the property, and also, it's an existing non-conforming use on the property, and this particular use, which is a retail use, is not a typical retail use. It's, a retail use that requires a significant amount of employees, at least 10 to 12 employees, which would take up around 10 to 12 spots. And then, we would need several more for our customer base. So we did speak with 1-800 law firm. However, it's just an additional significant financial burden on behalf of our company to pursue that at this current time when there are already parking spaces on site.
And if I could just weigh in, again, I believe that they made an earnest attempt to negotiate the parking. This is an existing legal nonconforming situation, and the overall intent is to reduce impervious surface. By them eliminating the northern egress-ingress and placing it in grass or permeable material, they have met the intent. So I'm comfortable supporting this moving forward without the additional lease spaces for those reasons.
Okay, I'm fine with that, if you're fine with it. But just give me a clear answer. Why do we have parking requirements?
Well, this is not a matter of minimum parking. When we updated the parking standards, we wanted to try to reduce excess parking, and we have a provision in our ordinance that there should not be more than 20% over the minimum requirements, and we've held that standard for all new development. This is an existing non-conforming situation. The intent of not going more than 20% is to reduce impervious surface, and they are in fact meeting that intent by removing the driveway, the northern driveway, and putting it to grass. And that is the particular reason and very specific reason that I feel comfortable supporting this unique situation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry. Mr. Mandelbaum, you have anything?
I have no questions.
Okay. Ms. Morris, do you have anything? All right, Ms. Taylor?
No question.
Okay, Ms. Banks?
I have no questions. Thank you.
All right, well, we'll like to entertain a motion as suggested by the
Mr. Chair, this is Councilman Bagwell. I make a motion that we approve SL U 20-0007.
Is there a support?
Support.
All right, been moved by Mr. Brightwell, supported by Mr. Mandelbaum, that we approve PSLU 0-007, special use request of Loom Cannabis Company. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Taylor? Taylor?
Yes.
Okay. Cruz,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
and Brightwell.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
We'll also entertain a motion for the site plan for this project.
Mr. Chair, this is Councilman Mandelbaum. Make a motion that we approve PSP 20-0005.
Support. I moved by Mr. Mandelbaum, supported by Ms. Taylor, that we approve the site plan for PSP 20-005, site plan review request of Bloom Cannabis. Madam Clerk, again, will you please call the roll?
Thanks.
Yes.
Brightwell.
Yes.
Hoskins.
Yes.
Mandelbaum.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Taylor.
I'm saying yes.
We got you.
We got you. Taylor. And Cruz.
Yes.
Okay. For the site plan. Thank you.
All right. All right, Mr. Crowe, we got one more site plan to review.
That's correct. Our last planning item tonight is PSP 20-0002, a site plan review request of new central carpet supply to demolish existing structure on the site and construct a new 5,400 gross square foot pre-engineered building for a carpet store.
Hold on one sec. Hold on one sec. That's not what we have up here. I don't believe.
Okay. Yeah. I think the slides must have got out of order. If Wendo, if you could go to, there we go. Thank you. All right. So as I was stating, the property is located at 20810 and 20854 West 8 Mile Road. Next slide, please. These are existing conditions. There's an existing business there, New Central Carpet. And if you see the parking lot to the east or right of the aerial, that is the one I believe you approved under consent for sale to the proprietor. Next slide. These are the floor plans of the existing conditions. The L-shaped building that is hashed is a barber shop that will remain. The front portion of that will remain. Next slide. And then on this slide, on the proposed site plan, the hashed in area is the new pre-engineered building that will be attached to the other existing buildings with new landscaping. Next slide. And there's the floor plan with elevations and improvements to both the new and the existing building. Next slide. So with that, hopefully we have Zaid on the line representing the property owner, Mr. Spence.
He's there.
Hello. Hello. Yes, Sayab.
No, this is Nathan Resnick. I've been trying to get through and have been unsuccessful. And I know the matter was already raised with regard to the convenience store, but it's been very frustrating. You heard me at the beginning, but then I just couldn't hear me anymore.
All right, well, we apologize for that today, but again, the matter has already been handled and has been approved. So we apologize for your time being taken away from you this evening, but thank you for staying on.
Well, I with all due respect, it got passed on without me having an opportunity to be heard. And I know Mr. Crowe, Mr. Spence know that I was calling in and I've been trying to get through. I do not know why I couldn't.
Mr. Resnick, your letter was sent to the council, as well as I made your case on the dentist's behalf regarding the obscuring fence. So it was discussed. Your issue was discussed.
I appreciate that. I just can't tell you how frustrated I am and why I could not get through. I had something with the technology. Can I make at least for my client who's paid me to be on the phone tonight and appear, at least make some type of statement, even though I realize it's been passed, but everyone is challenged with technology and losing people. I know when I first started talking, I was recognized that I was there. I was told to hold. And then somebody else started talking about the medical marijuana.
Sir, if you could hold for just a few moments, I'll give you 3 minutes after we finish this last item.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, Mr. Crowe, you can go back. You can continue.
Yes, I was, Mr. Spence, is Ziad on the line?
Doesn't seem like it. So, well, we have the renderings here. Do you mind if we just go to council right now, and if he comes on, we can maybe circle back?
Sure.
Okay. Miss Banks, I'm sorry, didn't mean to be too casual. Miss Banks, do you have any questions on this so far?
No questions, thank you.
All right, well.
No questions.
Okay, Mr. Hoskins.
No questions for me. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Mandelbaum.
No questions, thank you.
Yep, Ms. Morris.
No questions, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Taylor.
No questions.
Okay, neither do I. So we just need a motion on this to approve.
That's correct, and we have a recommended resolution in your packet.
Mr. Chair, this is Councilman Mandelbaum. I'd like to make a motion that we approve PSP 20-0002 based on the recommended resolution from the city planner.
Support. It's Councilman Brightwell.
Okay, been moved by Mr. Mandelbaum and supported by Mr. Brightwell that we approve PSP 20-0002 as presented by our city planner. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Brightwell,
Yes.
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
and Banks.
Yes.
All right.
And Terry, I think, Planner Crowd, I think the person may be on the line now.
Ziad?
One of them, yeah, you can acknowledge him, I think so.
Ziad,
Yes, I am here.
yes, so they just approved your application. If there's any closing comments that you would like to make?
I mean, all we have to do, we do thank the committee for help, especially in this crisis. We appreciate all the comments and all the effort. We do thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
We thank you for continuing to invest in our city as well. So thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crowe, for your presentations.
Yeah, and I'll just stay on the line if you want to recognize Mr. Resnick.
Yes, I will recognize him before we go into communications. So
okay, thank you.
Can
Good
we
night.
live again? I will give you 3 minutes.
He's on.
Okay.
I'm here. Thanks so much.
Go right ahead, sir.
Oh, thank you. This is Nathan Resnick. I'm an attorney for Dr. Fogel, who is immediately adjacent to the gas station and the convenience store that's made the special use application. And again, I'm very sorry, and that for whatever reason, the technology wasn't allowing me to come through. And I did hear the recommendation by the the city planner. What I really wanted to make sure everybody understood is we have an existing problem now with people parking in Dr. Fogel's parking lot and also blocking the ingress and egress of the driveway that is immediately adjacent to the gas station. And so the fence provides the solid, sturdy fence, which is consistent with a Southfield ordinance, would prevent people from, in essence, walking around or going through the fence while they're parking in Dr. Fogel's parking lot. So I know a compromise was trying to be reached, and I know Mr. Code was kind enough to try to broker that. But I think it's actually going to look quite odd to have a solid fence for 60 feet just for the back of the parking lot and then have a split rail fence the rest of the way. It's not really consistent, and it won't really remedy the problem that we have of people parking in our parking lot and frequenting this new carryout restaurant. I'm happy to talk to, I know it's already been voted on, and I know the issue was raised, and I know Mr. Crow spoke on behalf of us, but perhaps I can talk to him some more. There's some details that can be worked out with regard to this fence and final approval.
Yes, and we have asked, we have given Mr. Crow the abilities to do that, to finalize all that stuff with the and so forth. But the council definitely understood where your concerns were coming from, and unless there's anything else from council, I think definitely get something amenable for both parties. Council, is there anybody that anything else they want to bring back to this situation, or were we all good with our vote? And we'll put it in the hands of Planner Crow to finalize everything. All right, hearing none. Sir, thank you. We apologize for any technical difficulties that might have been on our end, but thank you for holding on, and we were glad to hear from you this evening. So have a good evening.
It's very, very nice of you, and I thank you for going out of your way to give me the opportunity after the fact.
No problem. Have a great evening.
You too.
All right, council, we'll go on now to our communications portion of the meeting. So we'll have to give a minute or so to allow for people to call in, and we'll let the clerk let us know when it is time. Again, those that may be calling in under communications, just understand that you will have 3 minutes to make comments, and at that 3 minutes, your time will be completed, and we'll move on to the next resident.
Mr. President, give me 1 second. We have quite a few communications tonight. 1 second.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Dwight Ballin, Post Office Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037. Mr. President, I would like to talk about section 11.18, 11.18 in the Southfield City Charter. Section 11.18 is entitled Amendment. Section 11.18 describes how to amend the Southfield City Charter 11.18, one EC step conflicts with state law, that is the Michigan Home Rule Act. That's making section 11.18 in the Southfield City Charter null and void. 11.18 became null and void when the Southfield authors of 11.18 tried to adopt the Michigan Home Rule Act into the city charter. That's when the second step in a two-step process was deleted from the act. Yes, you heard me right. There are two necessary steps needed to amend the city charter, according to Michigan law. Two steps, not one, as erroneously stated in the Southfield City Charter, but two. And here are the two necessary steps listed in proper order. Step number one, council must first pass a proposed charter amendment, and then step number two, the voters must pass by ballot election the said amendment. But sad to say, 11.18 delete altogether step number two, the ballot election, and in doing so, 11.18 disenfranchises the Southfield voters, that you and I. In a word, you folks here on this city council need to fix section 11.18 along with the many other law sections in the Southfield City Charter by creating a charter commission. If not you, then who? If not now, then when? Thank you.
Thank you. We have another caller, Mr. President. Go ahead, Pam.
Good evening, Council, again. This is Pamela Gerald. I just wanted to thank the residents that continue to call me with this back and forth between myself and a councilwoman as it relates to the Black Lives Matter. I'm going to say again for the last time, as my hero in the community said, during the time that the resolution was read, if the councilwoman was interested in taking a stance on Black Lives Matter and using banners or street art, the time to have said that, since she had the floor, would have been right after the resolution. The fact that you did not bring it up until after I brought it up said that you were hanging on my coattails. And I don't have a problem with that, because the more people we have in our community to work together, the more we can accomplish. So I'm done with this back and forth, trying to prove who said it. I did say street art, and if the city was not adventurous to put Black Lives Matter on Evergreen between the two roundabouts that are near the library and the entrance to City Hall, so maybe we could put up pensions or banners. Now, you alluded to, this council person, that the evidence or the proof was on the tape. For the last time, if you're inclined to do so, since it means so much to you to be the person that brought it up, I'm going to challenge you to present your evidence or the tape. If I'm wrong, and you said it first, meaning you said it after the resolution or before communication, I will be the first to say I was wrong. But if you said it after I said it, just accept the fact that great minds think alike, and it's not about who said it first. Your voice, or the volume on your voice, Madam Council Pro Tem, started only when you ran for council. My voice has been loud. My voice has been consistent, clear, and concise. being an independent voice for the citizens of Southfield that have allowed me to be their voice. 90% of the issues you hear me talking about are not me directly. It's for my fellow residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Usually I wouldn't do this, but I'm just tired of hearing this stuff. I'll allow Madam Pro Tem if she would like to take a moment to respond to that. But I would just attest to the fact that the whole idea about the Black Lives Matters banners were a discussion between myself, Ms. Morris, and Ms. Hawkins way before it was ever mentioned in a council meeting. And what people need to understand is that there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. Everything that you see or hear in these meetings is not the first time these things have been talked about. So just because you may have mentioned something about a particular issue, and I mean this for anyone, we are working every day. We are thinking about these things and trying to make these things happen because we do have feelings about these types of issues, and we have positions on these types of issues, and we are leaders that are really ready, are serving and showing the people of this community that we are in tune with the people that we do serve. So I just don't want people to think for one moment that just what you see on Monday nights is the only thing that's happening in Southfield with your leadership. We're working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day on a myriad of issues, and that should not be mistaken. So again, I'll let Ms. Moore speak for herself. That comment just really worked my nerves right now, and so I had to say something. Ms. Morris, would you like to respond, or would you rather not?
I would rather not. Thank you, though, Council President. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Mr. President, we'll continue with public comment. We do have Mr. Bonker on the line. Mr. Bonker, you're live, sir. Mr. Bonker?
What?
You're live. You're on public comment. Could you turn your device down?
Fred Bunker, 24201 Garner. And yes, unfortunately, we do have to look at Monday nights and see the city, after so many of these meetings, still can't put one and one together. We've embarrassed and humiliated potential taxpayers, residents who have been put on the back page. Communications used to take place at the beginning of the meeting till a council Mr. Cyber was a member of voted to put communications after all of this public hearings and site plan reviews. Why don't residents have the respect in their city they once had, where we, the people, were heard from first, then the business interests of Southfield? We have questions that require yes or no answers, and we know the city council elected a spokesman who seems totally aloof as to, even Mr. Cyber finally explained the role of the city council spokesman to know things and be able to answer. Do we know what happened to Chief Barron, the police chief? Mr. Cruz, for the permanent official record through the chair. Hello, Mr. Cruz? Do you know what happened in this police department to replace the chief of police? Yes or no for the unabbreviated permanent record through the chair? City attorney, can you give me any insight on how the city is run, where departments get rid of people? I had an ongoing dialogue with the gentleman. Do you know what happened to the chief of police? Through the chair for the permanent official record for the electronically recorded minutes. Yes or no? Kenson Cyber, was in discussions with Chief Barron, and nobody can tell me what happened to him. Do you know what goes on in Southfield, Mayor Cyber, through the chair for the permanent record regarding the police department, the unabbreviated electronically recorded minutes? What goes on in Southfield that our elected officials, 9 of them, between them, can't explain it? You're supposed to represent us and find out information that would be pertinent to our lives. Not come to a meeting and blur your words like you've never talked into a microphone. I complained to the clerk. You couldn't hear 1/3 of what was said because people don't know how to use a microphone. And yeah, apologies are due, Mr. Cruz. You should apologize for not being able to answer yes or no questions. It's humiliating.
Mr. President, we have a couple more. 1 second for me. Go ahead.
Hello, City Council. It's Greg Keeler, P.O. Box 494, Southfield, Michigan, 48037. I'm listening to the meeting today. I have seen how bad the technology works. I have called in to speak on PSL 20007. I called 3 times before Ms. Bunker and before the first person called. I was unable to get through and able to speak before you made your vote. I have a problem because that section of Lasher Road at 696, traffic is terrible. So you placing a marijuana selling place, which is one of the #1 sellers, in a bad area is just terrible. And I don't know how bad the delay is on this. When I tried to call in on everything and make sure I was able to speak on it, but it seems to me very sad that I couldn't call in and speak on it because you had closed and started talking, and it seems to be a delay on when I'm speaking now. I've heard Mr. Bunker, I heard the person who had the shop on 13 Mile say they tried to call in and they were also not able to be put in. I've also listened to the meeting when we can't hear people, or they can't hear them clearly. This is a total waste, a total mess up. This is sloppy. So I just have great problems with this. I should have been heard before you made your vote. Lasher Road should not be overstuffed with bad traffic on a bad traffic area where you can't turn down 696 because of the traffic, and now you're going to add to the congestion. That's basically it I have to say.
All right, Madam Clerk, do we have any other communications?
We're just going to wait, Mr. President, the minute to see if anyone else calls in because of the delay.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President, we are all set with the public comment. And I just wanted to make a couple of comments, if I could, about the public comment. The number for this meeting concerning our public comment calling number was changed. However, I did take calls from the old number and the new number. If people were trying to call both of them, that's where some of the confusion led. If someone was calling at the same time, their call may not have been heard. So that's where some of the confusion could have been. But we've tried to field as many calls as we could, and most people were given the opportunity to talk. And I will note that I called 3 people back that called, and they did not answer during the time of our public hearings. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. So communications is now closed. We'll now go to council. Are there any comments that council has? We'll start with Mr. Mandelbaum today.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had 2 questions. One for the city administrator, if we can just get an update on the CBDG COVID funding and when we think that will be available.
If I may, Mr. President.
Yes.
As of roughly 1:30 today, we still have not received our funding approval from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. We were expecting it late last week. During our 1 o'clock call today, it was brought up, and we still have not received it. I've gone through all of my emails this afternoon. We're told we should have it any day now. The application materials have been ready. When people call our Human Services Department, we are putting them on a waiting list. In addition to the money the city received, we are also monitoring other funds that have been made available through the CARES Act to offset evictions and such.
Okay, and then so, Mr. City Administrator, once we get the approval from HUD, are we going to do a press release, have the information on the website, and think about the call and things like that?
The answer is yes. We will have a press release and put it on the city's website, as well as probably a card on Cable 15. That's our standard protocol for events. We'll probably also work to link people to both Lakeshore Legal Aid Services as well as Housing Community Network, who have much larger buckets of money than what we have with our HUD funds.
Okay, and we'll have all that information ready for people.
Yes, sir. As soon as we get an approval, we can't move a program forward unless we have that authorization from HUD.
Correct. Okay, I appreciate it. I just was wondering for an update as I got a few more calls today because, again, all the neighboring cities are already accepting applications, and I think we're one of the last holdouts. So I do appreciate the update. The other question I had, and maybe this is for our council president, the new technology that we moved to tonight for this WebEx, I thought the primary purpose was to have more video interaction with the council members and city administrator. Was that not the purpose of moving to WebEx versus teleconferencing?
It was not the total purpose. I know some people did have a desire to have themselves seen on the video conferencing and so forth, but the platform seemed to be a cleaner platform than what we were using in terms of just calling in on the phone lines. I think you could tell by the our guests that we had during the various public hearings. I think we're a lot clearer than usually. And so we were trying to make sure that the clarity was a point of purpose as we did this. if we want to talk about how to move forward. And again, we don't even know how long we're going to do this. May not be for another meeting or two, and then we'll be back in person. But we can, I think we should be consistent with what we do. So if we're going to go live, let's all go live. If we want to all put up our photo shots from our council photos and just do that, we can do that. But I think just as first time out, we really didn't have quite a protocol for that today. We just really wanted to try to move forward in a different direction and make things more clear. And like everything, we had a few glitches today, but overall, I think we did okay. So if you have some recommendations, feel free to send them to me or to the council, and let's talk them out before our next meeting.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. I have nothing else. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hoskins?
Thank you, Mr. President. I had just a question for, I guess, maybe our administrator or for anybody who might know. I had a constituent who just wanted to know what would the process be for changing the name for a residential street.
That's a good question. Mrs. Zorn, could you jump in on that one? Because I know we've done it before. I don't recall exactly what the process was. Fred, are you there? Nope, I don't see him.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here, Mr. President. I'm sorry. I hit the mute button by accident.
Oh, no problem. Did you get the question?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
It would start with a resolution by council instructing the administration to move the item forward. If we knew it before the request came in, we could do some preliminary research on changing the name. As you referenced earlier, Mr. President, we did change a stretch of Civic Center to Martin Luther King Boulevard. But it would start with a resolution from council.
Okay.
All right.
Does that work, Jason?
It sure does.
I'm sorry, Councilman Hoskins.
That works too.
Same person, right?
Exactly. And that is all I have.
All right, very good. Mr. Brightwell?
I have nothing. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. I saved the three best for last. Ms. Banks?
Thank you, Council President. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm extremely happy and I want to thank the majority of our residents that are all wearing masks in our city. Thank you for helping us to fight this nasty virus. Also, I've been noticing a lot of people that are out walking, that they're picking up debris and trash and trying to keep our city look beautiful. If you are listening, again, I would also like to say thank you. As everyone on this body is aware, Governor Whitmore executed a new executive order that allows remote public meetings and administrative hearings until the end of a COVID-19 state of emergency. The new executive order allows municipalities an additional 28 days after the emergency executive order has expired to continue their meetings if they so choose. This will take us through our September 8th meeting. If the governor does not extend another state of an emergency order, can we, as the elected body, discuss how we are going to move forward at our August 24th Committee of the Whole meeting? at this time, we should know whether another state of emergency order will be extended or not. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Banks. And I want to believe that I think it was I don't know, Fred in your office, or was it John that was looking into? I think we kind of agreed on the pavilion as the next stop for us, and we are looking into that.
That is correct, Mr. President. When we last discussed this with council, we landed that our meetings would be conducted in the pavilion. We would socially distance, be able to have masks, room for the public, where the seats and the chairs would be spaced 6 feet apart, markings on the floor. We would be at work to televise them with cable, as well as a sound system.
Okay.
Okay. So that means that our Monday, September 14th meeting, if another state of emergency executive order is not entered into, that's when we will start our meeting?
If I may, Mr. President,
yes.
At that point, we would have to, in order to conduct business, we would no longer have the authority to conduct meetings in the electronic format. We'd have to go back to in-person meetings and do our best to practice the social distancing, and I believe we can do that. So yes, it would be that September date.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Taylor?
First I want to apologize. It seems like I'm getting this echo, so I'm not going to say too much or talk too long. I just apologize to everyone. I think I might need a new phone or go through the computer. I'm not sure. It's not a good feeling, so thank you, and I apologize.
No problem, Ms. Taylor. We understand. Everybody's having our concerns today, but we're getting through it. So I thank everybody for their patience and the public for theirs as well, for all of us. Madam Pro Tem.
Thank you, Council President Cruz. I just wanted to say, I guess similarly to Councilwoman Banks, just want to encourage everyone. You know, we continue to see the coronavirus cases rising, not only in the state of Michigan, but throughout our country. And I just want to encourage everyone to please, comply with the governor's mandate. Wear your mask, continue to social distance, and, wash your hands. We've got to get a handle on this virus. And so I'm just, praying for everyone who's been affected, and just hoping that we can, do what's right for our community. So thank you. That's all I have to say this evening.
All right, thank you so much. All right, I would just concur with my council and everyone on those same topics, especially with what we're doing with the COVID epidemic. Let's just be smart about this and do our part as Southfield residents to, flatten out this the numbers, if you will, of people being contracted with this virus and so forth. So thank you very much, Council. We'll go now to our mayor, Dr. Seibert.
First of all, I don't know what Mr. Bunker is referring to about our police chief. He's been with us for a year. He's made a real difference in the department. He's proactive, a great communicator, and I think we're all glad to have him as our chief. I will call Mr. Bunker tomorrow to try and ascertain his concern, but I'm mystified at this point as to what he's referring to. Secondly, we continue to be concerned with our 2020 census response. I'm glad to report that Southfield is above the national response rate of 62.2% nationally have responded to the census. We are below Michigan, which is 68.3% response rate. Southfield has a 67.2% response rate, and that means that 67.2% of the households in the city of Southfield have responded to the census. We've got to do better. I'm making a particular appeal to residents who live in apartments, as the census tracts that are predominantly rental units have a lower response rate than single-family homes. It's very simple to respond to the census. It's only really only takes a couple of minutes, depending on the size of your household. But a typical two-person household probably take 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And it's very easy. You can go online at 2020census.gov, or you can call 844-333-2020. Once again, that's 844-333-2020 to call in your response. That's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, before you get off, can you just, if you wouldn't mind, just talk about the implications of this in terms of what it means to the city of Southfield financially, for our city services and things that, what the impact is participating or not participating?
Well, first of all, it's millions and millions of dollars, because these numbers, whatever they settle at, these numbers are used for the next decade. There are actually, I won't go through the whole list, but there are actually 50 ways that the census data is used. Everything, obviously, from political representation at county, state, and federal level. But financially, for the city of Southfield, it's highway dollars. It's social services. It's allocations for schools and hospitals and healthcare. There are just many, many ways that the data is used. I will say that in talking to the Census Bureau on last Friday, they will be setting up outside some of the apartment complexes that we haven't had a very good response from. I don't have a date for that yet. The Census Bureau will be sending enumerators into the neighborhood. They're hoping in early August. Obviously, everything's been postponed. Normally, the enumerators would start going out and knocking on those doors that were not, where no one responded to the census. Normally, that would have happened starting in late April. And it has not happened yet because of COVID-19. And I would just echo the sentiments of several of the council persons about masks, and we continue in Southfield to be the hardest hit community in Oakland County. Not a distinction that we wanted, and we've lost 240 Southfield residents due to COVID. perhaps some of those lives or all of those lives could have been spared. They'd be with us today. Hard to say, but we have about 1,750 cases. And while it's slowed, the numbers continue to inch up, 5, 6 a day. So again, this is very serious. And then we're talking also with the school district. I believe the Board of Education is meeting on the 28th of July to further discuss return to school. And obviously, we all want our students and our staff to be safe. So these are really serious decisions that the school district here and elsewhere is faced with. But more people did the right thing, wore the mask, kept the distance, didn't gather in large groups, we might get through this sooner. So I join council in pleading with people to cooperate with the governor's guidelines. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. So residents, you've heard your charge. Let's stay the course and keep Southfield safe, Southfield strong. Mr. Administrator, do you have anything for us tonight?
Yes, I do, Mr. President. You know, just for council's common knowledge, COVID still continues very much to be high priority within the community, in particular, COVID accounting and the delivery of services. You know, just as Councilman Mandelbaum's question asked, you know, how do we get people the help they need? And that continues to be a focus for our police, fire, public works, and just about every department, human services. Most recently, we have adopted a policy dealing with face masks for all of our employees. And when we originally drafted it, it did not apply to police and fire. Well, it does now after the most recent revisions to the governor's executive order. On Friday, our accounting team headed up by Austin Michaels with the assistance of Chief Menifee, Chief Barron, Justin Beck. We submitted $6.1 million in reimbursement requests, and that's just the beginning of the types of expenditures we've incurred in battling this virus. As has been said, the most important thing we can do is mask up, wash our hands, and social distance. I did also want to comment last Monday's meeting regarding reports from the human resource development or from human resources. Mr. Meadows and I met last Tuesday. We are developing a report that we believe will meet the parameters which council discussed, as well as the multiple emails that we received afterwards. In addition to that report, I'd like to take a step back and review all of the reports. Initially, reports were submitted by department heads to the clerk and put in the package that was sent out every Friday. Well, as we moved more to an electronic format, that process needs to be reviewed. So beginning with last Tuesday, and again during my bi-weekly operations meeting with our core management support, and again tomorrow's agenda staff meeting, I've as well as today's COVID meeting, I informed the department heads that I am expecting the reports to be in my office by the 10th to be sent to myself and Mr. McRena. We will attach a cover communication and send that out as one batch report to council. As with any report, we recognize that there is always an evolving, a changing report to better meet the needs of council. We're certainly open to critique on that report, and we will work with the clerk's office to find a public depository for those reports. We'll probably be starting with the period ending June 3rd. My goal is that the assembled reports will be disseminated to council by the third meeting of each month, and usually around the 21st. I hope that meets the needs of council. Certainly open to critique and ways to make that a more effective document. Final comment pertains to the census. The mayor frequently makes this statement. There's a little irony in where our responses are the lowest, the populations that would probably reap the best and the most reward from responding. As all of you know, we have 17,000 multifamily housing, of which 11,000 are rentals. The other 6 are condominium. And it's in that population that we typically see the greatest need for that census information so that we can get the various federal services from food, health, medical, employment, and transportation. So again, I encourage people to communicate with the Census Bureau, and we will reinforce that census call-in information in our community relations as well as our cable department. That's all I have this evening, Mr. President. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Zorn, and we look forward to those reports coming forward. I think that's something that we as a council are looking forward to, is just increasing our level of communication so that we're all on the same page with things. So thank you for the leadership on that. Madam Attorney, do you have anything for us this evening?
Good evening, everyone. No, I don't have anything this evening. I hope everyone has a good night.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, anything?
Good evening. I just appreciate council and all involved in trying to make our technology more efficient. Sometimes we plan and we work at things that don't go as we planned them, but I do appreciate everyone's willingness to try something new. And I think overall we had some glitches tonight, but we'll continue to put our best foot forth in this. And I know that won't be pleasing to everybody, but I just do appreciate everybody's commitment to moving forward with this technology. I know we spent hours in moving in this direction. So I do appreciate that. And I value everyone's time and energy on the project. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Treasurer?
Nothing else to report, but thank you for the opportunity to present the software presentation in Voice Cloud earlier this evening, and hope everyone stays safe and healthy.
All right, very good. Thank you. Mr. Planner?
There's nothing from planning this evening. Thank you, sir.
All right. Is our assessor here, Mr. Assessor, or engineering? All right, hearing none. We don't have any other meetings to schedule. We'll move to ordinances. We have 3. I'll entertain a motion to enact ordinance 1721, 1722, and 1724. Council?
Mr. Chair, this is Councilman Mandelbaum. I'd like to make a motion that we enact ordinance number 1721.
Support.
All right, it's been moved by Mr. Mandelbaum, supported by Mr. Whitewell, that we enact ordinance 1721, Southfield nonprofit housing rezone, as we have discussed in the earlier session. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Hoskins?
Yes.
Mandelbaum?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Cruz?
Yes.
Banks?
Yes.
Brightwell?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance is adopted. Thank you. Enacted.
All right.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Akbar?
I'd like to make a motion that we enact ordinance number 1722.
It's been moved by Mr. Mandelbaum, supported by Mr. Brightwell, that we enact ordinance number 1722, which is initiating a zoning ordinance text amendment to allow any marijuana facility approved by the city council prior to October 2019. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes.
Hoskins.
Yes.
Ordinance 722 enacted.
All right, Mr. Chair,
Mr. Akbar?
let's go for the third one. Make a motion that we enact ordinance number 1724, the amendment to permits and bonds and streets and sidewalks ordinance.
Support.
Is there a second?
Support.
I'm sorry, was that Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Okay. The move by Mr. Mandelbaum, supported by Ms. Taylor, that we enact ordinance number 1724, amendment to permits and bonds and streets and sidewalk ordinance. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Morris,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes.
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Banks.
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance 1724 enacted. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I want to thank the council and all members involved this evening for taking a bold step forward and trying to advance our technology to continue to move through this COVID situation and continue to handle the business of the city. While it may have hiccups from time to time, know that we are continually working and trying to just make this a better process given the situation. And thank you to the listening audience and viewing audience for being patient with us as well. Just know we're doing everything in the best interest of this city because we love it. That's why we ran for these offices, and that's what we plan to continue to do. So if there's not anything else for the good of the order before we adjourn, I'll take one last round. Anyone? Hearing none, meeting adjourned.